Hey there. Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic dropped a month ago, and I finally completed it. Let's begin with a brief overview of the story. Edwin Murray works for his dad's company at MCM and meets Fiona. Edwin's father passes and gives MCM to him. This is the start of Edwin's grief, which deepens further. Edwin falls in love with Fiona, they marry, and have a child named David. Shortly after working, Fiona goes to Fall Fest and dies presumably in a fire. This leaves Edwin in grief as he tries to take care of his son while managing the company. He decides to make the M1 programming and the Mimic endoskeleton. M1 is able to adapt to the role of a mother or is possessed by Fiona's spirit and watches over David while Edwin works. Tragedy strikes again when David dies. This pushes Edwin further into depression. Fiona/M1 keeps convincing Edwin to make M2 the Mimic program for David, as M1/Fiona wants the family back together and explains that she was successfully made and to not give up. During this time, while making M2, Edwin transfers Fiona/M1 into the supercomputer known as F10N4 and eventually finishes the M2 programming and puts it in the Mimic endoskeleton. M2 begins to act like David to a fault, and this upsets Edwin to the point where he physically beats up M2 with violence.
You got a problem, fool? You disrespecting my hood, fool?
M2 learns that violence. Finally, after making deals with Fazbear Entertainment on the Fazbear project Below the Manor in research and development, William Afton and Henry Emily pull back on the project. They both steal Edwin's employees, plus the designs of the characters, and finally buy out Edwin's land. He retreats to his office where M2 uses the violence he was taught and kills Edwin. Later, Fazbear sends teams into MCM as they now own the property to retrieve the Mimic blueprints, but they die. The game starts out in a van where we are introduced to the protagonist Arnold, an overworked, exhausted, and reluctant technician working for Fazbear Entertainment who just finished a 36-hour shift. While threatening Arnold with docked pay by Dispatch, Dispatch forces Arnold to retrieve tech and blueprints for Fazbear Entertainment. The blueprints are called the Mimic, made by Edwin Murray at Murray's Costume Manor. Arnold successfully gets the blueprints, escapes, only to die while M2 escapes stealing the data diver with the Mimic blueprints and the cradle known as Mixes. However, there are 3 different endings to this game, and each one is unique in their own way by explaining the story of Edwin, Fiona, and David Murray, and how their stories tie into Fazbear Entertainment, and finally, which ending is canon. Before we fully dive into this theory, I would like to clarify the Mimic. M1, also known as F10N4, the supercomputer, and the parachute.exe ending, implied to be the son in the secret ending, and as Dispatch mentioned above throughout the whole game, is Fiona Murray, Edwin's wife. M2, the physical Mimic that has been chasing us around the factory all night, is David Murray, their son. M1 and the Mimic are 2 different things. M1 is the original program that Edwin makes after Fiona dies at Fall Fest. The Mimic is just the physical endoskeleton. M1 begins to act like Fiona mimicking after she dies. While Edwin gets used to his strange robotic wife, things continue to go south for Edwin when his son David dies. Fiona then pushes Edwin to make another Mimic program called M2 to recreate their son. This is proven in the audio cassettes in the secret ending.
Edwin, you can't put it off any longer. You need to try again. Build another.
For the last time, no, it wouldn't be him. Oh, who am I kidding? You're not really you. Oh, I've been so stupid.
Edwin, calm down and give it some thought. Try again. Make another, and we can all be together.
All this time wasted? I should have been having fun with him, playing games and teaching him how to make things. But I didn't. You. I let a machine raise my kid. You're not real. What was I thinking?
You do not mean that. It is me. I'm Fiona.
Stop talking like her. You're not her. I never want to hear or even think about you ever again. Ever!
Edwin does try to make the M2 programming, although he is unable to and can't figure out why. While working on the M2 programming, Edwin moves Fiona to the F10 N4 supercomputer so that the M2 programming, which is made for David, can live on in the Mimic endoskeleton, making M1 Fiona and M2 David. We'll get back to these points later in the video, so let's figure out which ending is canon. First, let's talk about the bad ending. We as the protagonists give Dispatch the data diver with the Mimic blueprints, and Dispatch thanks us. Dispatch has the van ready in the loading dock, and we are free to go. However, this whole time, Dispatch has actually been M1, also known as Fiona. We know this because after the first hour of the game, we lose signal from Dispatch, and M1 disrupts the signal, mimicking Dispatch's voice until the ending, where Dispatch regains its signal in the van, where he has been trying to contact us all night. We are promptly fired, and after looking in the reflection of the mirror, we see the orange eyes from the Mimic/M2, also known as David. We turn around for him to kill us, take us back to the factory in the research and development section, and stuff us in the suit. We know this is the bad ending because Fazbear never receives the Mimic blueprints. M1/Fiona takes the blueprints to protect Edwin and David, as she is a motherly figure to David, trying to watch over him, and is a loving wife to Edwin by doing everything she can to protect the M2 blueprints from never getting out of Edwin's hands into the other employees, so they are able to gain access to the Mimic blueprints.
Project update. I figured it out. There's a leak. Someone told them about M2. Well, they can't have it.
Oh.
Every copy has failed. I don't even know why it worked the first time. But it did. It's just not ready.
M2/David, the physical Mimic, kills us in the van and stuffs Arnold in the suit. M1/Fiona doesn't intentionally try to kill us in the ending because she most likely doesn't know that M2/David got in the van, and she only wants the blueprints for M2 to fix M2/David and protect Edwin's wishes. Obviously, this ending isn't canon because we straight up die. Also, how would the Mimic end up in ruin? The next ending is the Parachute.exe ending, where we as the player run Parachute.exe with executive permissions on the computer instead of handing over the data diver because we are skeptical that Dispatch is not who he says he is. This opens a secret passageway in the office to escape, where we make our way down to research and development and find out the Fazbear project Edwin Murray was working on was the original Freddy Fazbears from Five Nights at Freddy's. Dispatch's change of attitude shows us that we shouldn't be down here, as if it's not normal for people in the public eye to see.
What are you doing, Arnold? It's locked. I'm going to have to keep it locked until you hand over that device.
We know this is Freddy's, and these are prototypes because they are labeled with MCM logos and with the text prototype on their shells. Characters we originally thought were Fazbears were actually Edwins, such as Monty, Chica, Roxanne Wolf, Foxy, Bub the Dog, Fredbear, and Spring Bonnie. All of these characters are found throughout the factory, and below in the FNAF 1 research and development location. Some of these characters are repurposed in the later games. Throughout the game, we get logos and audio recordings of how Fazbear Entertainment made a contract with MCM so that Edwin could make costume designs and characters for Fazbear Entertainment. However, Henry Emily and William Afton pull out last minute on this Fazbear project, steal Edwin's character's designs, poach his employees, and buy out his land.
Aren't they insane? The look of these new animatronics is Fiona's design, and they're great. Oh, first they approved the art, then they approved the proofs. Now they changed their minds. Well, we're so close to final. Why would they change them now? Are they pulling my leg? The new concepts are, frankly, creepy. No, it doesn't matter. I'm not changing a single bit of her work, and they can't make me. Test. Journal entry. I got the change order from Hen last night. None of this makes sense. I'm almost done. Why change it now? It would be so much easier to keep using the spring locks. Just hire some teens to wear the suits like we always do.
Almost there. I need the rest of the Murray staff contact info. The sooner the better. You get that for me, and I can sweeten the deal. How would you like to manage one of the new franchise locations? W.A. Guys, it's William Afton, bro. We already knew William Afton was a shifty person, and this further backs up his recklessness throughout the whole series. But it sheds some light on Henry Emily, as most of us thought he was an angel. Still, he may not be who we thought he was. What I find truly sad is we know Henry and Edwin were close because in the audio logs, Edwin refers to Henry as Hen. Back to the ending, we play FNAF 1 in reverse and get into the office by wearing the spring-lock suits to drain Dispatch's power by putting the suits on the red spotlights in the halls. After we do so and get into the office, it is revealed that Dispatch is actually F10N4, who is Fiona. We know this is Fiona because above the computer there are green screens with a witch logo that flashes briefly, who is the sun character from the Moon.exe game. We will talk about that in the secret ending. Not only this, but her voice is the same as Fiona, and she talks about how she wants us, the player, to convince Edwin to fix M2/David by using the Mimic blueprints we acquired and reset M2's programming. According to Fiona, Edwin cut off communication with David and her, then retreated to his office. We make it to Edwin's house, with M2 still pursuing us, and collect film reels that explain the story of the Murray family. Each one is on David's birthday throughout the years, but the last reel reveals to the player that M1 is Fiona and has been mimicking her.
This is great. He's gonna love it. Fiona, did you make this?
I baked it myself
What?
for David's special day.
Great job. You just continue to surprise me. I think we're ready. Okay, everyone hide. Fiona, go get him. I left him out at the playground.
I called it, but it's like baffling me right now. There's no way that's Fiona. We then find out that Edwin has died or escaped and somehow survived, probably died, in the last audio log in his office at his home. There was an explosion in his office, and in the audio log, Edwin is calling out for help from M2 while M2 ignores him, taunts him, and leaves him to die.
Help! M2! Respond! Emergency! Call for help!
Daddy's busy, buddy. Why don't you go outside and play?
I can't move. I can't feel my legs.
You know, speaking of legs, what do you think? I just finished mine. There are still a few kinks to work out.
I'm sorry, M2. I lost my temper. I was all gonna fix you. Please, call for help.
Now, why would M2 kill his own creator? And isn't David's spirit attached to M2 like Fiona's? Well, in the game before the tunnel section with Tiger Rock, it is confirmed that Edwin beat up M2 because he was mimicking David, and it drove Edwin over the edge. So M2 mimicked Edwin's violence and killed Edwin. This is the same endoskeleton that has been chasing us all night throughout MCM.
Stop! You're not him. You're not! Stop sounding like him!
What? I believe David's spirit is attached to the white tiger costume we see in the tunnels because throughout the game we hear David's spirit speaking to us, and instead of the costume trying to kill us, it appears during flashes of light and disappears, similar to how ghosts do. We also know that the white tiger was David's favorite toy, so the connections are there. Then we install the cradle onto the data diver on the computer screen, also mentioned by Fiona in a log, which is supposed to keep others safe from M2. In the log, we know that the cradle is supposed to be the F10N4 machine, which is the same MXES machine from Ruin, as it says supercomputer in the log, and we know when we install MXES into the data diver, It stands for Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage Number 1. It's not implied, but I believe these are the same machine. After this, we are chased out of the facility by M2 and failed proto-mimics, escaping as the whole building burns down. While in the van, the mimic breaks the glass and we crash. Arnold wakes up briefly, and it seems the mimic will kill us, only for it to take the data diver and walk away. I believe this is the canon ending, because not only does the mimic have the blueprints, but it is also able to walk off and survive, leaving room for future games. It also shows the connection between this mimic and the one in Ruin, albeit the mimic may have copied himself or just got damaged over the years and put himself back together. Lastly, in the secret ending, we first have to beat Moon.exe, and to do that, you have to collect all 25 collectibles appearing in the game, then use them accordingly to progress the minigame. Once you complete Moon.exe, your data diver becomes glitchy and you receive the code from the Sun character, which is the code to reset the mimic. You repeat the process of going back to Edwin's house, and instead of collecting the tapes, you collect 6 audio cassettes, which allow you to enter a secret room. The room is eerily similar to the crying child's bedroom in FNAF 4, where you place the Tiger Rock plushie on a pedestal and the mimic comes out of the closet, shrinks down to the size of a child, his eyes turn blue, and the mimic becomes David. After a bedtime story where the mimic glitches out, Arnold is able to finally reset the mimic, and he is fixed. What's important from this game is the Sun character is Fiona, the Moon is Edwin, and the baby owl is David. Sun makes masks of Freddy, Bonnie, and Foxy, which you fix in Moon.exe with the collectibles you collect throughout MCM. It is well known that Fiona is a puppeteer making puppets like Roxy. We also know that the Sun in this game is the same one on the screens above the F10N4 supercomputer and the Parachute.exe ending, as it is the same Green Witch logo. Also, throughout Moon.exe, there is text showing you that Fiona is caring for her son and wanting to fix M2, which is David. Moving on to the Moon, every time you lose in Moon.exe, the Moon puts you back in your room while you try to escape. This is a metaphor for how Edwin would do this to a child who isn't listening. This also explains how Edwin gets mad at M2 because M2 is continuously mimicking David, nagging Edwin, and pushes him over the edge to the point where Edwin beats up M2. In Moon.exe, the only way to escape the room and enter the cave is through wearing a mask, with one being more important than the other. That is the baby owl mask you get from the Sun after fixing the Freddy, Bonnie, and Foxy masks, and which we put on in Moon.exe. Before we try to enter the cave, Moon will catch us, but later, when entering the cave with the owl mask on, we get text which reveals the Moon is crying, and in the entrance to the cave, there is an owl statue, presumed to be David's grave where he lies. This explains why Moon cries over the death of his son, and how Edwin is a parallel to the Moon in this game. A final point to mention in this section, while exploring in Moon.exe, we find a statue and ruins covered in burn marks. The statue is of a married couple, presumably Edwin and Fiona, and below them is a collectible snow globe from Fall Fest. We know this statue is Edwin and Fiona because the woman is in a wedding dress, and the man has a big purple bow tie, similar to the one seen in the MCM archive tapes. Most likely, Fiona died in a fire at Fall Fest, which can be proven into audio logs you find during the game, as well as the 5 tapes in the Parachute.exe ending.
Oh, why did you go? You weren't even supposed to be there. You were supposed to be here with me and David. Oh, how am I supposed to tell David that his mother is gone? How am I supposed to raise a kid on my own?
Uh-oh, this is after Fiona died.
My life is ruined.
Now, as to why this ending is not canon, well, when completing the game for the first time, you are only able to collect 24 out of 25 collectibles. The 25th is a white tiger plush used in the secret ending to be put on a pedestal to fix M2, and the only way to have 25 out of 25 collectibles is to start a new game plus, meaning M2 cannot be fixed. Of all 3 endings, I believe the parachute.exe ending is canon and leads us on to future installments. Let me know if you have any theories or loose ends, and I can answer them in the comments below.